We're here.
Better late than never, right?
Sorry, y'all. Had to restart the computer and it's crazy slow.
He was supposed to have everything ready and
yeah, my bad.
My bag.
My bag.
That's my bag.
So Alan's here. Howdy, Alan.
Howdy, everybody.
And Sherry. That's like it.
That's
Alan
it.
and Sherry.
Alan and Sherry have been conversing with each
Hey,
other.
y'all. Well.
Well.
How far in before we hear Pam's great life?
I
saw 2 to 3 minutes.
Oh,
what does that mean?
it's a celebration.
Oh, Timmy got a job?
My son got a job.
Timmy got a job. Yay.
It's called Scaredy Cats. Scaredy Cats.
I'm near.
You got a job at Scaredy Cats?
Ripley, West Virginia. I don't know what that is. Get off your phone.
I'm sorry.
Okay, so what about Pam's great life? Before we hear Pam's great life, I saw 2 to 3 minutes. Did you post something today? I don't know what that means.
So how far in?
I'm popping out the chat.
Happened? Okay, what did that say? We hear Pam's great.
Do you know what that means?
2 to 3 minutes.
What does that mean, David? Greeting from coffee time in the morning here in Korea. It's monsoon here, 90 degree, 90% humidity. Woof. You did get a haircut.
I did get a haircut. I wanted him to layer it more, but this is what I got. But that's cool.
Tom's here. I miss Tom. Hey, Tom. Let's see. Did I miss anybody else? I think that's all I see.
Hi, Alan. Hi, David.
Melissa
hi, Tom.
Diaz,
hi, Sherry.
Money Matters.
Hi, Melissa.
Brian, another buzz.
Diaz.
Yes, I need another cut. I'm going crazy.
I'm not sure if Melissa and Taylor will be joining us.
It's hard to get a haircut in this heat or in this humidity, really, because it would just kind of stick to my head. So we're going to have to do it real early one morning before it gets too humid.
Oh, I'm exhausted.
But yeah, I need one. Woo!
We've had a crazy, what is this, Wednesday? Oh my gosh. It's crazy.
Monsoons are rough. Yeah, we've had either rain or threat of rain every night. It's been humid. It's been sticky. So,
it's been like crazy windy at night. We've been getting woken up at like midnight or 1 o'clock. And crazy winds.
The funny thing is, yeah, I mean, the winds usually, it's common for the winds to happen in the afternoon. Much, I don't remember them being overnight like that. Yeah, last night before, I mean, I felt the trailer rocking. The deer are coming out. Oh yeah, Allen's West Virginia. I remember deer back there.
That's cool.
Same up here, lost some trees. Yeah, sure. Pam, I guess saw some things. I don't know if you saw it through, if you just saw it in general,
Sherry,
but
I think it was on Sherry's face.
Apparently, yeah, a lot of wind up there. I guess we get a lot of wind too. So, in case people didn't see the last video, which I guess went out yesterday.
Oh, it's Melissa.
Hey, Melissa.
Hey, Melissa.
So yeah, we had a little incident. It's on the thumbnail of this live, and it was the video we put out yesterday. 2 of our window bucks actually got knocked over by the wind. So, serious question. Other than the wind blowovers, was there any erosion around the foundation, tires, etc.? Your videos look like everything held up well. Yeah, it looks pretty good. I think it looks fine. No, erosion is I don't think an issue. Now the good news is, if you can't tell, the whole thing is kind of up off the main part of the ground, and that was on purpose. So, and especially when there's a roof over it and an overhang, the foundation shouldn't see a lot of water right around it, and we'll probably do some berming, swaling to kind of keep running water away from it. So it should be pretty secure. And yeah, it hasn't really, as a matter of fact, if anything, I think the rain is good for it right now because it's packing in. If we had to kind of add a lot of dirt to that area to build it up, actually inside those tires, right, and everything. So I think it's actually packing a lot of that dirt. So, and we did just get, I don't know if I mentioned it on the video or any posts or anything, but we actually did put mulch inside, kind of on the floor inside, because if we didn't, it will kind of pool up in there and it'll get really muddy. Even if it doesn't pool up, it gets really muddy and slick. So it'd be hard to work around it. So
Hey,
we did
Taylor.
mulch the whole inside.
Taylor Phillips.
Hey, Taylor's there too. So, yeah, so a couple of bucks fell over. It's my own fault. I didn't think that would happen. You know, I thought because they were built like boxes, you know, that they were fairly sturdy. They were a little sturdy. I think originally we braced three things. Two of the doors, because one door was really big and heavy and has a big face of a header for the wind to hit. And the other door, you know, with the two doors, there's no cripples down below and everything. So they didn't have quite as much structure to them. And one of the big windows, I think it was the biggest window.
Is the water line? The water line is actually fixed for the moment.
It's functional right now. It's not fixed long term, but as I think we've talked about, we have switched over to kind of just filling up the RV freshwater tank every couple of days, and we're doing that with the well water, with the line.
So we're just turning off the water at the well and filling up the tanks and just using that. So we don't have to worry about it breaking at night.
Right. So we're only turning it on when we need it. And even if it does break, which it will break when a storm comes, and it will break at some point, but it won't be on when it breaks is the idea. So
once
so it won't spew as much as it does.
She'll be great. If not, have Jim come over and build a giant rock gabion.
Yeah. Yeah, as far as the foundation, it's fine for now, and I think it's going to be fine because it'll be fairly protected. It's all kind of raised, so I'm not too worried about that, but it will help to get the roof over.
And it hasn't rained for 2 days, so it's dried out pretty well.
I mean, we're not getting like hammered with rain, but I mean, we're getting rain. So then when it comes pretty hard.
But it dries out fast.
But it also, it dries up fast. We put mulch on the inside, so it shouldn't pool up. Let's see. I did a little prep work today. I was hesitant to do bales because it's actually pretty nice right now, but it was kind of threatening. It was cloudy all day, and I didn't know what it was going to do. So I did kind of some prep work. I cut some things. I cut some rebar to prepare for putting into the bales. I cut some wood to be the pieces and the parts to do the vampire stakes to kind of connect the wood, the bucks to the bales. There's going to be something called, and if you don't know what that is, you'll see when we do it.
Hold on 1 sec. I'm going to turn that fan to where, is it okay if I make it do that?
I'll melt, but whatever. Why don't you point it at me?
It dries my eyeballs out. I can't open my eyeballs.
But let's see. So I made a couple little tools. I made a little bale rasp with some lath on just a block of wood. It's basically a sanding block for bales. We found that out when we did a volunteer opportunity. It was a really nice little tool.
It's like a sander for bales.
Yeah, it cleans them up real nice on the edges. So I made it one of those today. I can actually make two of them, a smaller one and a bigger one.
I don't see your mom.
I don't see my mom there yet.
Ow, I just
Ascension Ranch, we're getting rain now. It's supposed to last an hour. We'll see. Nothing heavy. We're looking at the forecast, but it's kind of that standard monsoon forecast here. It's anywhere from 20 to 40% chance of rain, and it's kind of just a crapshoot. You know, we might get it, we might not. We can see a lot around us sometimes. Actually, right now it looks really nice right now.
It's cleared off a lot, but all day it
was cloudy. But it kept the temperature down. It was cooler today. I didn't worry about the air. It took us all day to get full on our solar.
I've been gone all day, so was it cooler here a little bit?
It was cooler. Yeah, it was cooler.
Cloudy, and I went to Tucson, so.
Sherry said rain.
Hey,
really?
Mom. Hey, Shirley.
Interesting. Rained up in Phoenix finally, because even while we were getting rain over the past week or two, we have some friends in Chandler, and they said they weren't getting really anything. So, Sherry, I don't know if that's true for you too, but maybe this was your first. So let's see. What else? Yeah, so got a little sidetracked, and even though the water is okay, I made a mistake. I let a neighbor talk me into it. He was trying to help, which I appreciate, but we messed with the water line, and we probably shouldn't have. We had it together and working, right? But my neighbor came up with an idea that he thought might be better. we basically had to do with like sleeves. If you're familiar with Fern Co's, it's actually the brand, and I actually used one. It's really just a brand name for a rubber flexible sleeve to put between two pipes with clamps on either side. And I used one for the septic to change from ABS to PVC because it's kind of required by code not to glue that. So I used one of them. But he had the idea to put one of those over the pipes where we connect them instead of the fitting and hose clamps over that, and those hose clamps hitting the hard plastic of the ranch pipe. He had the idea of putting that rubber fitting over it, and maybe those clamps on the rubber fitting might squeeze down a little tighter. When we first did it, it actually came apart on us, but then we did it with some extra clamps and we got it. I think we're back to kind of where we were, but again, we're turning it off, other than when we need to actually fill our tank. So I think that's really the best solution for us right now.
66.
66. Nice. Is that up north?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like High Desert Homestead.
I think we were supposed to be, around low 90s today, I think?
Yeah.
93 or something. I didn't catch what it got to, but...
What? Wasn't it today that was supposed to be in the 80s, or is that tomorrow?
I thought that might be tomorrow, but I can't remember. How much a weather window do you need to stack bales on the foundation? We really don't need much of anything, to tell you the truth. It's really just a matter of I can stack bales whenever I'm ready to cover them at the end of the day, right? I mean, as long as it doesn't rain while I'm doing it. I just have to assume that whenever I put them up, it could potentially rain that evening. So as long as I'm prepared to...
That's not too bad.
That is low up in Phoenix. As long as I'm prepared to cover them after I've stacked them, if I cover over them, then I can put them up whenever. So I'm this close.
Are you shooting for tomorrow?
Yes. I still have to split. I'm going to start in the smallest spot, which happens to be. So I'm going to start between two bucks. This particular spot happens to be less than a bale, so I actually have to split some bales to do it. So that'll be my first bale splitting on our own, really. So it'll just be 4 straight up. But I'm going to do, the whole process of the vampire stakes and the rebar and everything up. And I'm going to put a little box beam just big enough for that section. And I'm going to pull it down and I'm going to verify what I think is going to happen.
Kind of a test,
this spot. Yeah. This spot actually happens to be right next to, you've heard me, you guys have heard me in past lives talk about the issue that I think I'm going to have. The issue that I think I'm going to have, where I think when I squeeze it down, it's going to actually squeeze below the highest header. So this is right next to the French door. That's the highest header. I'm going to verify that that's actually going to happen. I think it's going to happen, but I'll find out for sure. But if and when it does, then I'll know. And, we talked about some solutions, some potential solutions, I think, last week on the live. And we took it, I think, one step further. So I think it was Bill from Upside Down Downsizing who he started by suggesting a piece of wood up below the box beam, basically, that would act as a spacer that could push, kind of be farther down on the bales. So there'd be, header here, and then the bales would be lower, and there'd be a little piece of wood to kind of fill that gap. Then he suggested maybe doing the same thing actually at the bottom instead, on the sill plate first before you stack the bales, basically starting them a little higher, giving them a little step before you start them. And those are both fine, but they do require, some fill of that that gap you're creating and everything. So another solution, which is really the same idea.
Can you read the question?
Is there a question?
Have you
considered bracing bales as building to protect from wind damage? Bracing bales as building. Oh, so that they don't fall over? Okay, I'll talk about that in a second. So anyway, we've talked about, instead of a piece of wood, we've talked about using a piece of foam, like rigid foam, like foam sheets, buying basically sheets of foam, hard foam, and cutting out pieces of that just like a piece of wood. But now it's foam, and it covers the whole space that's going to fall short, basically, of a bale, and it'll fill that gap. So you can actually attach that piece of foam to the bottom of the box beam. And when you pull the box beam down, when it hits the header over here, the wood, this piece of foam will be here, and it can fill that gap between there and the bale wanting to squeeze down further. Because we do want to squeeze the bales down as far as they'll squeeze. So that makes them stronger.
Did you answer the bracing question?
So the bracing question, because we're filling between bucks, and the bucks are braced, each time we fill a section, and we are going to be putting rebar pins in, and we'll be using vampire stakes to connect the bales to the bucks. I believe that the bracing of the bucks should be enough to also brace the bales, if that makes sense. The bales and the bucks will be connected because of the vampire stakes.
And the bucks are braced.
The fact that the bucks are braced.
It's like a tongue twister.
And until we get, now it's a different story. When we get to our last wall, our west wall that has no windows on it, that has no bucks on it,
then we're going to need the...
Yeah, on 3 of the sides, there's quite a few windows, so the spaces between the windows aren't huge. So what I said holds, that the fact that we're bracing the bucks should also be bracing the bale walls because the 2 are connected, right? So the bracing of the bucks should brace the whole wall. Now that is a little different when we get to the big west wall that doesn't have any bucks. So maybe I'll have to come up with a special bracing scheme for the bales over there.
And then David also asked how you'll cover the bales to
cover bales to resist water. Yes. So, and that's one of the reasons it's taken me so long to start here, is I've been thinking about that a lot. The answer is tarps, but we talked a lot about how to actually connect those tarps, whether you throw it over the top and you try and fan it out and maybe stake it down and use either rope or bungees to kind of fan it out like more like it's a roof with a hangover, or do you go straight down the sides and try and tack it at the bottom or something? Because part of the problem is it's not just we have to cover it up, it's that we have to be able to uncover, recover, because you might have to revisit it every day basically. So you want it to be able to be undone and redone and undone and redone.
He has an idea, though, for the billboard tarps, right?
For any tarp.
The furring strip.
For any tarp.
Yeah.
Friends of ours had an idea that when you drape a tarp over, and we'll do it, we're not going to do it over the whole structure like a big tent, we'll do it over one wall, right? So, and especially since I'm going to be working in sections, we'll be covering a section at a time, basically. And hopefully I won't have to go back and revisit that section, maybe until it's time to do, the roof. So hopefully I can kind of tarp it and then leave it for a little while I work on other sections. But the idea is you tarp a section, and we're going to use furring strips, piece of wood, 8 feet long-ish. And down at the sill plate, you kind of go from the sill plate, you have that tarp will hit the sill plate and go a little past, right? And, the question is, how are you holding it down? You can put a bunch of rocks on it or whatever, but the wind blows, it can come undone and all that stuff. So, so the idea with these furring strips is to kind of put the tarp down the side, and where it kind of goes past the sill plate, you put that piece of wood there and you tack it in like 3 places or something. So now that wood is holding the tarp, and you go up and over the sill plate, down the outside, and do the same thing on the outside. You tack it to the sill plate with this furring strip. So now you've got this piece of wood that you only have to put like maybe 3 nails or screws in, and you're holding the whole tarp, 8 feet worth of tarp in place. And to undo it, all you do is take out 3 nails or screws or whatever, and you just kind of peel it back. So that's our idea. The short answer is tarps. The long answer is, we had to come up with a way that we think we can secure those tarps.
That wasn't the long answer?
That was the long answer. Short answer is tarps.
Okay. Hey, Bill and Yvonne.
Bill and Yvonne, hey.
Foam filler.
Perhaps put the foam filler between 2 top bales and the second 2 top bales. Make it internal to the total wall. You could potentially. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if that buys
Sherry.
What was she gonna say?
Sherry said.
Oh,
because I said
long answer. I don't know if there's a benefit to where you put that piece of foam. I actually thought it'd be easiest to put it on top, and I don't think there's a negative to that, but I could be wrong. I noticed, unless comment, but I don't know if Bill caught what we were talking about. From last week we talked about spacers for the gaps that I think I'm going to encounter. Squeeze my bales down. We've talked about filling those with rigid foam pieces, basically foam sheets, just cutting them to that size and putting them in there. And we were talking about doing it. I was talking about doing it right under the box beam. So, and the suggestion is maybe to move it down in between 2 layers of bales. I'm not sure if there's a difference. I'm not sure if one's better than another, but enjoyed all your graveling about in your video. Oh, upside.
So tomorrow is going to be the day then?
I think so. For the first string of bales, the first column of bales, it will be. I'd be tempted to go right under the box beam and use construction adhesive. I was thinking the same thing, to kind of glue it there, essentially, right? Maybe that is the advantage to going right below the box beam, is being able to kind of secure it to that box beam so that it doesn't want to slide around. Right? If you went in between 2 bales, yeah, there might want to be some sliding or something there. I mean, I don't know. It might not even be that much of a difference, but I was thinking about putting it on the top level, basically between the box beam and the top level. Also, we'll know at that point kind of how much squeeze we need, how much of a gap we're going to have. So again, this isn't 100% a problem yet, but I am 90% sure it's going to happen. How much longer? 2 weeks. I'm just going to keep saying 2 weeks. How's that?
I'm just going to keep saying a year.
Yeah, I'll just keep saying a year, and I'll just keep moving out.
For 3 years now.
Anyway, so yeah, those ideas were good last week. I think we took it maybe one step further. It gets you basically the ideas we were talking about last week. We're still going to require some sort of fill or insulation. So we just went the one step further and said, why not make the filler the insulation? So that was our friends, our old neighbors from up in Chandler suggested that. So
Steve
anyway,
and Donna.
yeah.
Steve and Donna. Thanks, Steve and Donna.
So what else? What's going on?
I don't know.
So yeah, I did still spend roughly,
going on.
I spent the better part of a day on the water hose again, even though I shouldn't have had to. We tried to mess with it, and our fix didn't work the first time. No, not today.
Not today.
But I mean this week.
Oh yeah.
So I did spend a good part of a day on that. I spent definitely a whole day on, kind of bracing the unbraced window bucks and fixing the ones that fell over. That was a day. We spent a couple days just staying out of the rain. So we didn't make a ton of progress this week, but
they're in their 60s.
Still says the mulch in the house. Yes,
Yeah.
it worked great. I can't say enough about mulch. It's awesome. That did take us.
He will take it back.
That took us 2 loads, and I even had. It really took like
hey, Jim.
1 1/4 loads in the truck to fill the inside of that thing. It's not super thick, but it's just to really stop it from pooling, and it does work. It works really well.
Oh yeah, because we had a couple of pretty big pools out there.
Water line is part-time job. Yeah, the water line, we should have left it alone, really, but it really is a big improvement to only be turning it on to fill up our tank here for the moment. That's definitely an improvement.
They had an idea. They thought they would try it.
Yeah.
I don't know if it really worked or not.
I think we're kind of back
worth a shot.
Pretty much where we started. At least I hope we are, actually.
It's better than it was.
It was worth a shot to try, but because of the way we're using it now, I think we don't have to worry about it.
At least with the tanks filled, it gives you peace of mind in the middle of the night, because that's when it was breaking, was the middle of the night. And
even when we worked on it yesterday, day before, when we actually worked on it, we tried something, and
why are you stealing all the rain?
Jim, you're not getting rain.
Blame it on the
We tried something, and it didn't work the first time, right? So I had to leave the water off for a little while. Well, in the past, that water being off would have meant no water in here, but now, because we've got a full freshwater tank,
this is way better.
It's a big improvement. It's a big improvement.
Now,
I'm glad we did it.
If we decide to do some laundry, we're going to have to hook up to the regular water.
Bill's suggesting I think we've had a suggestion like this before. A post on either side of the wash with a rope suspended across the wash, tightened with a turnbuckle, and then suspend the water line. Yeah, suspending the water line is an option, but again,
that would require us to dig it up. I mean, like hundreds of feet. We'd have to.
Yeah, it would. Yeah.
Did I just hear someone scream outside?
I don't think so.
I heard a weird noise. Oh well.
Nah.
Bonnie.
Yeah, I mean.
Oh, it's Melissa's friend Bonnie. Hi.
Hey, Bonnie.
I have heard.
Bonnie.
Bonnie. I've heard a lot about you, Bonnie.
There are potential longer-term solutions to the water line, but we've already decided that we decided a while back that because we were going to go to the catchment solution anyway, it's just like everything else, it's taking longer than it should. But I can live with the solution we have now. I don't mind putting a little bit of time and a couple of dollars into solutions here or there just to kind of make that a little bit better. But right now it's just not worth the effort to me.
Things had been kind of rough, but you know what I do in the mornings? I make a list of everything I'm grateful for.
All right.
All right.
Pam had gotten pretty negative there for a little bit.
Well, it was pretty bad, but now I'm just finding ways to stay cool. And if I start to feel negative, then I just go and write down all the things that I have to be thankful for, and that kind of helps me.
Even though things are moving slow, the way I am.
Brian is on the list, but I'm trying to be more independent. That's one of my life goals now, because you never know when something happens.
And Jess.
Hey,
the way I look at this slow pace is it actually makes me feel good, because every time, like for example, thinking about this, what we're going to do about this gap potentially with the bales, the more time I have to think about that, usually what happens is we come up with like a solution, and then we modify that a little bit, and then maybe that gives us a different idea, and essentially you go through multiple iterations of a solution, and I usually end up in a place where I'm way more confident in the solution that we end up with than the solution we kind of started out with maybe a day or a week before that or whatever. So even though it is slow, it gives me way more confidence to kind of think these things through a lot more. And I know I have have to get better about that. I have to be a little quicker.
And I'm trying not to nag you as much. Have you noticed how
it's been nice?
Nag you?
It has been nice.
No, I said, did you notice that?
A little bit. But yeah, I like the solutions we're coming up with. I'm happy with the way everything's behaved so far. Still gonna be mistakes. Yeah, the buck thing was dumb. I should have braced all those, and that freaked me out a little bit when those fell over. And I thought it was way worse than it was.
You learn from your mistakes.
But
right?
Yeah, as I said before, I've spent my whole life not making mistakes, so this is really new ground for me.
That's okay. It's gonna be good. It's all gonna work out, right? It seems like the timing was really bad, but we had hoped that we would be done.
Yeah. I would have loved to have been here in March. That's where I wanted to be in March. It just didn't
happen. So what are you gonna do?
And like I said,
really, Brian? Give yourself permissions. Yeah. Yes. I give them permissions to make mistakes.
Awesome. It's me.
Construction.
It's me on myself.
Integrity.
If you don't have a solid solution, build a gabion around it or under it. Nice.
I want to put some rocks. Oh, hey, maybe we should mention this about your idea about putting mesh because you were afraid a gopher might tunnel.
Oh, yeah.
But I thought maybe rocks around the bottom. But so why would you?
Well, that's not going to. Okay. So here's the question. I don't know why I just thought of this the other day. We've talked in the past about the floor, inside. We're going to do an earthen floor, but it's in the future. So we haven't thought about every little detail of it yet. But in the back of my mind, I'm thinking I might have to do something under that floor to prevent rodents from trying to come up, because it's ultimately dirt, right? There's going to be some gravel and things in there, but we've seen squirrels and tunnel through some stuff, right? We've had rock on our property, this thick, and we've seen them come right up through it. So I've always known that I might have to do something under the floor, and I didn't know what that was going to be, whether that was going to be some kind of wire mesh or something like that to prevent them, kind of like you might put under a garden or something like that, but or a raised bed. But I don't know why it just hit me the other day, but when I was thinking about putting bales down on this sill plate or this toe up that's filled with gravel, 3.5 inches thick, because my toe up is a 2x4 standing on its side. And yeah, there's tires under there, and tires are solid right around the outside, but the dirt kind of comes right up to the edge of the toe up on the outsides. And I was looking at it and I thought, there's nothing to stop a mouse or a squirrel or a gopher from going up under those things and coming right up through that gravel and right into our bales.
But the tires.
The tires are there, but those tires, you know, the tires only touch each other kind of in one spot, right? Because they're round. So there's kind of there's room for a rodent to kind of, ultimately there's room for a rodent. If he wanted to go under 2 tires, which that's the part when it comes to the floor on the inside, I'm not sure if they really will make their way in under 2 tires worth of foundation. But for the sill plate alone, for just the sill plate, you know, they could go to the kind of the wedge between 2 tires, tunnel up and make it under the sill plate and go right into a bale. So
I think the odds of that.
I was looking at this and wondering if I should be putting down wire mesh before I put the bales down. Wire mesh on the sill plate over top of that gravel to stop something from chewing, you know, through that. I don't know if I need to do that or not, but it was something that just hit me the other day, and I was like, do I need to put something there? So I'm curious what anybody thinks about that.
It sounds like a lot of extra work.
Well,
but I guess if it's going to keep them out.
Yeah. Oh, Mom just asked what a gabion is. So
it's a cage full of rocks.
Yes, a cage full of rocks. Yeah. So basically taking fencing material and kind of molding it into a shape and then filling that with big rocks. So it basically becomes a big.
They're really cool.
A big paperweight.
People actually,
a big weight.
In Tucson, I've seen them where they'll have it's like a big skinny one, and they have their sign on it, like the front of their store had. Yeah,
they can be done. They can be kind of pretty.
A wall of rocks.
They can be used. They're used a lot of times for like retaining walls. So it's basically like it's just taking a bunch of rock and making it into sort of like a brick, so that you can use it the way you would use a brick. But to do that, you give it a kind of a fence-like structure.
You can make them big or little or any size.
To give that rock a form.
So Jim put it all the way around his water cistern thing.
Yeah. Jim has a bunch of them on his property.
Why?
He did it around his posts on his
why did he put rocks all around? Jim, why'd you put rocks all around there?
I forget why.
It was something like a drainage thing, or maybe to keep rodents out. I don't remember.
It's basically just giving riprap, which is big chunk rock, giving it a form so that you can use it kind of like a brick.
It's really cool. You can do all kinds of stuff.
They're really neat.
I've seen a lot of different. Google it sometime.
They can be just functional, or they can be pretty.
Different ones. Yeah.
A neighbor of ours actually has one as her kind of address marker. Yeah. And it looks really cool. There's like a piece of metal on the front of it with her number on it. It looks really neat. Yeah, Jim's got them everywhere. So you can make your own.
Oh, yeah.
If you kind of twist that fencing wire together and kind of tie it up, then you've got a thing just to dump rocks in there.
Extra stability around his posts and beams or whatever.
I've seen people do it around spigots that come up out of the ground.
Oh yeah.
And it can be used in that sense for a little bit of insulation. You know, it might not work where you are, Mom, but for us, that might be enough insulation to keep a pipe from freezing or something. So I've seen people do that. I've seen people do it, and for stability. Yeah. Anyway, that's I think all that's going on. Like we took a little step backwards and then kind of recovered a little bit. I don't mind if we wrap up early. If there's not, I mean, if anybody wants to ask
all day,
feel free.
I just walked in.
But yeah, Pam just got back.
I've been in Tucson all day, so I had just walked in.
She barely just sat down before we got on here.
Then I was like, it's like 90 degrees in here. He hadn't turned on the air all day.
No.
I don't know why.
Well, it was a lot cooler. And also, it took us, as I said, all day really to fill up the batteries because it was cloudy. So yeah, like Jim said, especially for our climate, it can be enough. Just putting those rocks around something like a water pipe can be enough thermal mass to keep that water pipe from freezing and stuff. So I've seen people do it around spigots and stuff like that.
Oh my gosh, we have a roofing material. The roofing material.
Or you could get
we have some
free old roofing material. Cover the gravel with that.
We have some of that.
Interesting.
Do you know that roofing material I'm talking about?
No, I don't. Oh, I do. You mean the
stuff Mary gave us?
Oh, well. Oh, no, that's not. I think he's talking about metal, but I'm not sure.
Oh, we do have some roofing
material. One thing I do want to be careful of is I don't want it to be anything solid, I don't think, because I don't want water if any water does happen inside the bales and drains or whatever, I don't want it to sit at the bottom. So it should be permeable, right? Yeah. So that's why I thought if it were wire mesh, I thought wire mesh would be the answer. I actually have a small piece that's actually big enough for the first little spot that I'm going to do with bales. And I think I'm going to put it in there and see how much of a pain it really shouldn't be that much of a pain. And Pam said it's extra work, and it's a tiny bit of work because, like I said, I'm only covering kind of this 15-inch section of the sill plate at a time, and I'm only covering enough for where I'm putting the bales.
Hi, Brian Storm.
So it's not a lot of money and it's not a lot of work. So I think it might be worth doing.
I'm not sure why.
What are you using a gabion? We're not. It just came up. They come up all the time, especially when Jim's around. Jim has a ton of them. We haven't done any yet. We probably will for both. Like I said, they can be aesthetic. You know, you can do cool things with them just to look cool. You can put them around things that you might want to have a little thermal mass around, like a spigot or something like that. You can actually build walls out of them. I mean, or you could make maybe kind of pylons for walls if you want to think of it that way, like a fence. If you want to put a big thing of rocks and then have wood posts, and then a thing of rock, you know, it could be kind of your posts along the way. It's just, you can do tons of different things with them. But we don't have any, and we don't have any current plans for any, but they're cool. Wire mesh is a great idea. Can you make a wall of gabions in the wash? Believe me, I would love to, but, you know, there is a limit. Gabions is a good idea, safe than sorry. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. Better safe than sorry. And the reason I'm thinking about it is because once I put the bale down, you know, I can't do it after the fact, right? Once I put the bale down, I've done it, right? So I was thinking I might do that. Anyway, the gabions on the, you know, in Tucson, there are places where they'll either put rocks down and kind of almost cement in between them and do that. Or I have seen them build kind of retaining walls in washes with gabions, right? With wire-covered rocks.
Though, not in the middle.
So in theory, we could do that, but the amount of rock it would take to cover a section, is just too big. So there is a limit to what you can do with a gabion, just because, you know, that's filling an entire space with a bunch of rock. So realistically, you can only do so much.
Brian, when are you coming out to see it for yourself?
Brian, you should get out here.
This wash is super big. It would take us a...
Yeah, if it were just a small section, we might consider it, but we have a long stretch of wash that kind of has that problem. So what you're talking about is basically making a retaining wall out of these things, which you can totally do, but to cover a large area, I'd say more. I'd say
150
Oh, you mean wide?
Yeah, wide.
Oh, I don't know, but the question, that's not the issue. He's talking about covering the sides, basically as a retaining wall. So it's more about the length of the wash that we would have to cover. And
that's even more. That's like a mile.
It's hundreds and hundreds of feet. It's a ways.
I feel like
it's just not realistic. Too much. Yeah.
So Google, Shirley, you should Google decorative gabions, because they have some really cool. They have some cool gabions. Oh, why do I look like I'm really, really tan right now?
It's the lighting. It's got to be the lighting.
Very dark. You're lighter than me.
Well, I'm closer to the window.
Brian's getting super tan now.
A little bit.
He needs to work without a shirt so he can even it out.
In 10,000 years, archaeologists are going to find Jim and Jess's gabion cistern in perfect condition. They'll scratch their heads in his gabions. Why didn't you build with adobe block? I mean, actually, we are planning on doing our. That's a new name. Welcome, Hoghead.
Hi, Hoghead.
We are planning on doing our interior walls with adobe bricks. That is our plan.
Yes, we're going to be using a lot of adobe. You have to do
both sides of the road. Correct. Yep. That's right.
Yep. It's gigantic, and
yep.
We're going to focus on the house first.
There's talk in our neighborhood here. Just recently, there's talk about trying to kind of do some more permanent solutions for, you know, we have a manager that's supposed to be in charge of road maintenance and also well maintenance for the people who are on a shared well, but which we are not with them. But the guy that does road maintenance, it's kind of like wash maintenance goes in hand with that, because the washes cause problems on the roads. So there's a lot of talk around here about doing some more permanent things in our neighborhood to try and kind of make the washes not as destructive, hopefully. So
Right.
hopefully we'll make some progress in that as a kind of as a neighborhood here soon. So
Hopefully that will work out.
What else is going on? That's about it.
I got nothing. I'm tired.
Sorry guys, we didn't make a ton of
driving.
progress. Like I said, got rained out a couple of days. Took a step back with the window bucks.
I had to go make a trip to
spent a little time on the water line again.
I had to go into Civilization to visit Victoria's Secret. I wanted to find out what the secret was. You have to do both sides. Oh, I already read that.
Yeah.
I needed some lip gloss.
So yeah, not a whole lot new to report. So another thing I did today was, I didn't think about this. When I put the sill plate down or the toe up, I put the strapping. I put strapping material in place because I was kind of pinning the sill plate down to the tires. So I put the strapping in because I kind of needed to at that point. But today, I wasn't thinking about windows and doors at that point. So obviously, anywhere there's a window or door, there's a buck from floor to ceiling. You don't need a strap. There's not going to be a strap up and over to squeeze on a door buck or a window buck. So I started pulling some of those out. And also, by the same token, in between some of the window and door bucks, there need to be a certain number of straps, to do things. So, for example, the place I was going to start is a little section. Like I said, it's not even a full bale wide. It only had one strap in that position when I laid it out originally. So I had to sneak another strap under there, which I did today. So because you'll need at least 2 straps on each, or else if you pulled on the box beam, it would just kind of want to do this. So I did some of that today.
Adobe is kind of used on the inside and on the outside, but some of the walls on the inside will be Adobe.
They won't be, it'll be separate things, right? So the straw bale is on the outside for insulation because it's thick, right? So, and it's pretty easy to build with. The reason for the walls on the inside, if we did straw bale walls interior, they'd be super thick and they'd be taking up a bunch of our floor space, right? So we don't want it to be quite that thick. But if we did just framed, like maybe wood framed walls or something, they'd be kind of thin. And we're thinking that we actually wanted more of a sound barrier. Now, maybe you can do something inside that wall to be a sound barrier as well. But we thought that the Adobe bricks would be a nice compromise. Also, they should provide some soundproofing between the rooms that they wall off, and they're cheap. We can make them ourselves. And also, we're hoping to get a little bit of passive solar performance out of them. So when the sunlight does come in the winter and it hits those walls, we're hoping they'll heat up. It's sort of like, it's not the same thing, but it's sort of like the concept of the way earthships work, that kind of the thermal mass of the building sort of holds the heat and releases the heat at the right times. So we're hoping that by using earthen walls on the inside, if the sun gets to those walls, they can act as that heat battery, right? Kind of like on an earthship. Not saying gabions along entire walls, but from one side to the other to slow the water, like a dam.
That's why I was saying that was still was 100.
It would also it would knock them over. It would knock them over too.
And it would knock them.
They wouldn't stop it. It's like a flowing river. It would not. It takes trees. It takes everything.
I don't know if Brian saw the
it's a
video,
big wash,
but you can see where it knocked down the whole. The road was pretty just washed out, and that was just when it was a tiny trickle.
Yeah, they wouldn't work as a dam.
Do you have plans to incorporate propane gas?
Not currently. The hope.
And thank you, David, for David gave us the compliment.
Oh, you too. Positive attitude. Well, we're trying.
Trying.
The hope is not to have to use any propane. It is a decent solution, as opposed to a piece of paper just fell on me. To try and limit your electrical use, for things like heating water, a stove, a few different things, right? propane can be a decent solution. But our hope is that would just be another thing, that you'd have to refill, that could potentially break, leak, whatever, right? Not that propane is a bad thing. It'd just be nice to do it without it. So we're going to try and do it without it. We're not planning on using any propane.
Okay.
We're going to try and do everything electric.
Bill says, are your electrical lines going to be inside the adobe wall or going to be surface mounted?
I'm still thinking surface mounted. I've said surface mounted for a while. Now, I did have a friend of ours, Jared. He thought I was crazy. He thought it was going to look bad or look stupid or whatever. I think it can give the place a little character. I think we can dress it up a little bit. I think it'll be a little easier to put in that way. It'll be more accessible that way. It's a little bit of a cop-out not to have to bury it in the walls. I'll admit that I'm trying to get away with that, but I also think we can make it kind of neat, almost in the idea of, the way that ductwork is often left exposed nowadays and everything. So I think it'll be kind of cool. So my current plan is to try and have it be external to the walls. That could change.
I don't even care if I have a ceiling at this point.
But I'd like to try and do that.
But I just need a roof. That's all.
So that's our current plan, is to run that stuff.
I don't even care if I have the walls covered with adobe on the inside, or
covered with
what do you call it? Plaster.
You mean just
the raw bales? But the whole thing will be a truth
Good
wall.
luck with your start tomorrow. Please take video. We definitely will. We will take video.
Hey, instead of a truth window, we're gonna have truth
walls. A truth wall. Yeah. The proof that it's straw is that the whole thing is straw.
Just come inside. It'll smell like a barn. I like the way it smells.
Yeah.
It smells good.
That's about it.
Thanks, Tom. Yeah, I'll be here tomorrow to film, so.
Yeah. So like I said, tomorrow, we've been to several things where we've had chances to practice things. But tomorrow will be the first time we've split our own bales. So we'll tape that. I'm sure we'll probably make a mistake or two the first time or two. Is your rain collection going to be your primary source of water or the well? The rain collection will be.
It will be. We're kind of in between right now.
Yeah, right. The well will be, hopefully we can still have the well as a backup. I've already talked to the people that we share the well with, and they don't seem to mind if I needed, for whatever reason, if I had some sort of problem, or if the rain just didn't support it for a particular year or a stretch of time or whatever. Basically the same way you might have to get a delivery of water if you were on rainwater catchment.
Buddy.
Basically us getting a delivery of water would be going to the well and getting, we'd have to find a way to transport it, maybe in IBC totes or something like that. But
my lizard friend is named Buddy.
So yeah, the rain catchment is going to be our primary source. And, we're going to have about 2,500 total square feet of roof between the house, the carport, and the shed. So we can collect quite a bit of water. So I think we'll be okay. But the well should be a backup for us.
You know what's funny? I just started saying that the lizard I said, my little buddy is out there. And it's funny because my dad's named Buddy.
It's wild. This guy does not care.
You step right over him.
I've walked right over him, and you don't even realize he's there, and then it scares you, but he hasn't moved. So he does not mind us at all.
And he didn't even move.
So and I know there are a bunch of them that look similar, but he's the same one over and over.
When I reached out and tried to pet him, and he did move when I tried to pet him.
I'll mention the cob gun. That was pretty funny.
Jim, I laughed so hard at your
it was
more like a poop gun.
How often do you have these live chats? We've been doing them every week. We've been doing them every Wednesday at 6 o'clock. We've only skipped, I think, 2 maybe. And sometimes we have more things to say than other times.
Well,
and sometimes we just talk about
he was wanting to go down to
stories,
once a month.
Well, I was. It felt like we weren't. Yeah. For a
really
bit there, we weren't doing anything, and I got a little frustrated just in the build itself, and I didn't feel like
he was stuck in a rut.
I felt bad reporting no progress. I still do sometimes feel bad reporting no progress. So weekly is quite a bit, but
don't worry.
But
Jim.
We also can just tell funny stories, or we can share whatever. It doesn't all have to be about the house. So we have been doing these every week, and I think we'll continue for a while at least.
Jim, I have 2 cob cannons.
Yeah, that's what Pam said. I got 2 cob cannons right here. Speaking of the mic, I got a backup mic right here. I'll bet Jim knows that one.
I got 2 backup mics.
Please hit the thumbs up before you leave.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bill. Good idea. Yeah, we're missing some thumbs up. We're a little short, y'all.
Oh yeah, where's all the thumbs? Thumbs. I know where the thumbs are.
What they should show.
Thumbs up. Thumbs up.
Rob said the cob gun is what they should show you on Taco Bell commercials to warn you of what's going to happen. There are so many jokes that can be made. About
I got to tell my daughter.
The cob cannon.
I got to tell my daughter about this cob cannon because she works at Taco Bell.
More vids of walls falling on Brian. I'm sure it won't be the last blunder.
I hope that's the last one that falls.
But that one, I still am dumbfounded by how dumb that was. But
I know when I walked up there and I saw that thing was wobbling, I'm like, yeah, that's not gonna.
If I'd had 2 people, we'd have been fine.
You should have called Doug.
And do you remember? I don't know if everybody remembers when Pam came over with the camera. Pam came over with the camera, and I said, "I need a hand here," and she goes, "Sorry, can't help you." So it's her fault.
I'm too short, or I could not have reached even if I had wanted to.
Gotcha. I was having a moment and not thinking interior walls. I was thinking right next to the straw bale. Yeah. The straw bale and the cob are not intended to work together really in any way. They're 2 separate things. We just chose straw bale exterior cob or adobe interior, and we're hoping to get a little thermal mass, passive solar performance. I don't know how much of that we'll get. But I thought it was nice just to have a nice thick wall. We hope that it'll give some soundproofing. That is one thing we learned in our condo.
It's got to be better than this.
Our 1-bedroom condo and our no-bedroom trailer. 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom. When you have guests, there's not a lot of privacy. So
it's called a bed cubby.
So yeah, we thought the adobe walls interior would give us some sound proof as well. So we're hoping. Anyway. That might be all, y'all. We're a little short, but we're almost at 7 o'clock, so I'm probably ready to call it. Like I said, Pam just got back.
How are the flies by you? They're fine. They're doing great.
I used to tell everybody, that Arizona does not have a lot of flies. It's very dry. We tend not to have many flies, and we haven't had many flies here, but
there are
this
some flies.
Season, this time of year,
seems
and
like
this
more.
Particular season, since we've been pretty humid and pretty wet, there have been more for sure. We've had more now.
Somebody says
still not horrible bad, but
any timeline on when you will be finished?
Well,
he gets that a lot.
Yeah,
I say.
I'm thinking that we'll have a roof on it in a couple of months. That's kind of step 1, is to get it sort of protected.
We haven't had mosquitoes yet.
A couple of months for a roof, and then I'm telling Pam roughly a year. For all the work that has to be done inside with walls and electrical and plumbing and things like that. I think it's reasonable to say a year from now. Full-time living. Now, hopefully, we can do a little part-time back and forth and use the trailer for water and cooking and things like that, and maybe do spend a little bit of time in there when you don't need water or power necessarily, but we'll see how that goes. There might be some back and forth.
Brian says, what are
full-time living,
steps?
I'm thinking a year.
Next steps is putting up the walls, and then did you make a trusses versus rafters decision yet? Yes.
Yeah, next step. Yes. Next steps, bale walls. So it goes walls, box beam, rafters, roof. So, and rafters and roof, really, it's very similar to what I've done, on both the carport and the shed. So I feel fairly confident in those steps. So those are our next steps. The other one was, did you make trusses versus rafters? Yes, okay. Rafters. We've made the decision, and it is rafters. So that'll mean we will have 2 posts inside the house. But as we said before, one of them will be kind of swallowed up by a wall, so you won't really even notice it. And the other one will kind of surround it with a piece of furniture that we were going to have anyway. So I don't think it'll be super intrusive. And we'll try and make it sort of functional if we can, either aesthetic or functional or both.
You answered David's question?
That was David's trusses versus rafters, right? Get a salter gun for the flies.
Salter?
A salter gun? I don't know what that is.
I don't know what that is.
Always enjoy your live streams. Thanks, Tom.
Thanks, y'all.
Yeah, I mean, I hope you guys would agree. You know, I've thought about not doing this as much, especially when I don't have a lot to report. But, you know, if you guys get a little bit of kick out of watching us for 30 minutes to an hour or something, then we're happy to do it.
Yeah, thank you, Jim.
You know, we can always tell stories and stuff, too, anytime anybody wants.
Jim, I want to see a house soon as well.
So do we, Jim. Well, and good night, GDP. Your guys' place is really starting to look like a house.
Oh, yeah.
Pam
and Bill,
mentioned on the most recent.
Bill and Yvonne should be moving in
Well,
soon.
Bill and Yvonne's has looked for a while. So, anyway.
Thanks, y'all. Thanks, everyone.
All right. Yeah, we're going to call it, guys. Thanks, everybody, for coming. You know, we'll see you next week. And the next video should be some bales. We'll talk to y'all later. Good night, y'all. Stay safe. Bye-bye.
Oh, Off-Grid Simple Living just showed up.